In this question, you will be asked to talk about a familiar topic. After you hear the question, you will have 15 seconds to prepare a response and 45 seconds to record the response. Do you agree or disagree with the following statement? It is important to learn about other cultures. Use details and examples to explain your opinion. Begin to prepare your response after the beep. Begin speaking after the beep. In this question, you will read a short passage, listen to a talk, and answer a question about them. After you hear the question, you will have 30 seconds to prepare a response and 60 seconds to record the response. Number 3. City University's choir is changing its performance schedule next year. Read an article about it in the student newspaper. You will have 50 seconds to read the article. Begin reading now. Now, listen to two students discussing the article.
Jim, you're in the choir, right? What do you think about what they're doing next year? This article.
I really like it.
Yeah?
Yeah, the new director's right that it will motivate us.
How's that?
Well, some of the other schools are really good, so we'll really have to work hard to go up against them.
Yeah.
I mean, right now we don't rehearse more than once a week, but if we know we'd be competing with other schools, we'd probably rehearse more often and improve our singing a lot.
That's true. The more you practice, the better you get. So, what about what the article said about how this will help the program?
I hope it works. Right now, our program is pretty small, but we have some really talented people, and it would be great to attract even more people.
So, how will this plan help?
Well, if we go to these off-campus events and other people hear us and think we're really good, we might be able to get some new students interested in coming to this university, to be a part of our music program and perform in our choir concerts.
You're right. I hadn't really thought about that.
The man expresses his opinion about the change described in the article. Briefly summarize the change, then state his opinion about the change and explain the reasons he gives for holding that opinion. Begin to prepare your response after the beep. Begin speaking after the beep. In this question, you will read a short passage, listen to a talk, and answer a question about them. After you hear the question, you will have 30 seconds to prepare a response and 60 seconds to record the response. Read a passage about relict behaviors from a biology textbook. You will have 50 seconds to read the passage. Begin reading now. Now listen to part of a lecture in a biology class.
Okay, so a good example of this, found right here in North America, is something an animal called the American pronghorn does. Pronghorns, as you may know, are a kind of deer-like animal. They live out on the open, grassy plains, somewhat in the middle of North America. And they are super fast. Pronghorns are, in fact, noted for being the fastest animal in the Western Hemisphere. Once a pronghorn starts running, zoom! None of its present-day predators, like the bobcat or coyote, can even hope to catch up with it. It's off in a flash. Okay, so why then do pronghorns run so fast? That's the question. Well, it turns out that quite a long time ago, I'm talking tens of thousands of years, things on the grassy plains used to be very different for the pronghorns. Because back then, lions used to live on the plains, chasing and preying upon the pronghorns. And lions, of course, are a very swift-moving mammal, much faster than the bobcat or coyote or other predators that you find on the plains today. But now, however, lions are all extinct in North America. They're no longer a predator of the pronghorn. Tens of thousands of years ago, though, the lions were there, chasing the pronghorns. So, back then, the pronghorn's speed was critical to its survival.
Using the example of the pronghorn and lion, explain the concept of a relict behavior. Begin to prepare your response after the beep. Begin speaking after the beep. In this question, you will listen to part of a lecture and answer a question about it. After you hear the question, you will have 20 seconds to prepare a response and 60 seconds to record the response. Listen to part of a lecture in a business class.
People who are likely to buy a company's product are called target customers. And these target customers influence a company's marketing strategy. In order to develop a marketing strategy, a company will look at certain characteristics of the target customers to decide when and where to advertise, so that they'll reach the target customers most effectively. I'd like to talk to you today about two characteristics of target customers that can influence marketing strategy, specifically age and geographic location of the target customers. Say a company makes toy cars. Who are its target customers? Kids, right? So if the company wants to make sure its television advertising reaches its target customers, it'd want to advertise during times when kids are actually watching television, like during children's television shows. That way, it can make sure that kids see the advertisements. And that way, the company would get people in that age group to go buy toy cars or to ask their parents to buy them at least. Now, another important characteristic to consider is geographic location, places where the company's target customers live. Think about a company that makes boats. Its target customers are people who own homes near oceans or lakes, places where they can use boats. After all, people who don't live near water don't have much use for boats. So by placing advertisements on signs along the road or on television in cities and towns that are near oceans or lakes, the company would be more likely to reach the target customers for its boats and sell more of them as a result.
Using points and examples from the lecture, explain how the characteristics of target customers influence marketing strategy for products. Begin to prepare your response after the beep. Begin speaking after the beep.
I think it is important to learn about other cultures. First of all, it gives you the opportunity to understand your culture better. Then it helps you to understand other people from other cultures better, because if you know the background of their behavior, then it is easier to understand it and not judge it. And in addition to that, if you know other cultures, then you do not offend people, because you know how to behave in certain situations, and you know better how to react on other people's behavior.
Yeah, actually, I think it's so important, and it's really significantly will affect my personal life, knowing about new culture and other cultures. It's firstly will make me more open-minded and more tolerant toward others. Then I'm gonna really expand my horizon of thoughts and philosophical ideas, because I'm gonna interact with other backgrounds, and that's will really give me the chance to acquire good values from other nations.
The choir is about to change their schedule, because they want to take now some off-campus competition, because the director thinks that students will be more motivated then, because they are get into competition with other choirs. Furthermore, he thinks that the guys then are more or better will do a better performance than before, and probably the program will grow. The student, he actually agrees with all these, or he thinks that the changes are very good, and he agrees with the opinion of the director, who thinks that they will perform better and they will be more motivated, because he thinks when they are in a competition with other very good choirs, they will practice more often, maybe have more than one rehearsal a week, and he thinks that other students will be attracted when they hear them in off-campus competitions to join the university.
The man we just heard is pretty happy with this change undertook by the director. He states that they currently practice very little because they don't have very regular or and, re and rehearsal times. By practicing more in preparation for competitions, they will improve their singing quality at the same time that they can level up their singing proficiency with the current competition in other universities. That way, will and that way they will also establish a cycle where further improvements will encourage the students to rehearsal more and practice more.
Ironic behavior is a behavior or a quality that a creature still shows, although the reasons for having developed that behavior or quality has long disappeared. For example, in the evolution, animals needed to flee from their predators, like the pronghorns had to flee from lions who were preying upon them. Thus, they needed to be very fast and would have to run very fast. But nowadays, the lions are extinct in North America, and the current enemies of the pronghorns, the bobcats, and the coyotes are much slower than the lions used to be. And the pronghorns actually don't need to run that fast anymore, but they still have the ability to do so and still show that behavior.
The concept of relic behavior, based on the example that was given, shows that this can be genetically inherited, like for the example of the pronghorn, that tens of thousands of years ago they used to be chased by lions. This proves that was inherited to nowadays, when even if now lions are extinct in North America, pronghorn still are the fastest animals on the northern hemisphere, and they inherit the seed, which then was critical for their survival. Now it is just something they just have it. It's not survival for them. what you just had.
Target customers influence marketing strategy because it answers the question where and when should the company advertise. For example, two major points of target customer is age and geographical location. So knowing the age, for example, of target customer, which is child, you should know where the advertise between or cartoons that children watch, and this will be the proper time to advertise your toy cars, for example. Knowing the geographical location is also important because, for example, if you're selling a boat, it's important that you sell a boat to people that actually need it, and how you reach it is you try to find where people who need it live. So people who need it mainly live near the rivers or near the water, so they could have use of that. In this way, it's important to know target customers.
Actually, it's influenced the strategies of companies directly because they are the target of the company. So companies usually seek to put their promotions and advertisement as much as might be exposed for the targeted customer. So if they are aiming to buy for kids, they put their advertisement in areas which kids mostly happen to exposed to it. And similar in the example of people who are interested in buying boats, so they are usually advertise it in the cost and the costs.